Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art. Really excited to be here with you and just catch you up on all the things that have been going on in the sewing room. So last weekend was my best friend's wedding. If you've been on this channel for any length of time this year, you know that we've had a lot of gearing up for that special day, and I'm really excited that it happened. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and just full of so much laughter, friendship, family, and fun. We had a good old time, and there were a ton of DIYs and me-mades involved. So I think to kick it off, the bride-to-be at that point, she had worn her wedding rehearsal dress. So that was the dress that we had been working on earlier in the year, back in like late January, February time, twirling the Estella Dress by Vicky Sews. And it turned out lovely. We had used this silk Mikado that we got at the fabric store basement. I think I got that right. It's out in Virginia when we had found it on like the remnant rack, and it was gorgeous. What you didn't hear was that like weeks, months later, maybe a couple of weeks before the wedding actually, Deneen had gone back to the store and found like in their remnant bin more of that same exact fabric. The fabric, which initially when we saw it on like the remnants rack, there was no more of it in the store. So we knew that we had to be really diligent about, you know, making our toiles, making sure that we use that fabric as best we could because we weren't going to get more. And somehow, miraculously, when she's just like rummaging in the bin, they have like a $3, like $2 something cent, like bin of fabrics that you could buy by the yards. And there was like a yard piece, like just shy of a yard of that fabric, the same exact one. So she picked it up and made this gorgeous large bow to go over her shoulder, and it turned out lovely. So I made the dress, and it was lined with a gorgeous, it's this fabric actually, a gorgeous, it's the very same color, like bone colored viscose. It feels like a viscose or a rayon. So buttery soft and like cool to the touch. So it's lined with this fabric. It just looks stunning. She did the bow. It was one of my make nines, but in my make nine, what I was trying to encourage myself to do was some fabric manipulation. We were initially going to do some sort of floral detail, and then she saw and had also been really loving these large bows, either on the back of the dress, on the shoulder, you know, somewhere. So when she found that fabric, she had it with her, so she just went ahead and whipped up the bow. So I don't know if I'm really going to allow myself to cross that off my make nine. When I did the make nine video, I did mention the Estella dress, but what I was trying to get out of that with the Estella dress as the base was the fabric manipulation. So it's to be determined. I might still encourage myself to try some fabric manipulation, whether it be a floral design or something else later down the line, and actually have that be my make nine. Well, all in all, it was a lovely dress. She looked absolutely stunning. Outside of that, as you can see here, I made my bridesmaid's dress. Finally, it turned out so lovely. I'll be inserting some photos of me in the dress in a bit, but I use S8875. This is a tried and true pattern for me. I absolutely love that pattern. I think this might be my 5th time using the pattern in some variation. This is a hacked version. I went ahead and added a waistline seam here so that I could add on this full circle skirt at the bottom. I love the way that it drapes. This color is a huge pop. It is like a starburst for real. And I had mentioned to you in the last video that I wanted a modesty panel, and I'm really glad with how it turned out. I did use both of the fabrics that I had mentioned to you previously and went ahead and added the trim that I got from Giddy. So let me give you a closer look. So here's how that modesty panel turned out, and in the photos hopefully you'll see it really did just melt into my skin tone. I don't think you really could tell. I ended up doing the narrow roll sort of hem from my serger for the ends of the sleeves there because I tried it with the trim and some bias binding to give it a clean finish, but it's stuck out like a sore thumb. It was really not that nice. So I went ahead and removed that. I had so many trials and tribulations with this dress, umming and ahhing about different things, but I'm so proud of how it turned out in the end. I do have that trim there in the midriff section and all along the bottom hem as well. The trim was used, and I'm happy to say I used up all of that orange trim. And I say I'm happy to say that because I really do like using things up in my stash. It must have been maybe 10 yards of it that I had picked up while I was in Giddy. Oh, excuse me. So I had done a full bust adjustment on this pattern. I cut a size 14, which is a size up from what I used to cut, but in taking my new measurements, I definitely needed the size 14, and the full bust adjustment just allowed me to have a bit more room. In hindsight, maybe a 5/8 of an inch full bust adjustment would have been just fine, or like half an inch, versus the 1 inch full bust adjustment I did, which increased you know, the space that I had up at the top by about 2 inches overall for each bust. Yeah. But I don't think I needed that much fullness necessarily. But yeah, it looked gorgeous. I did wear a petticoat under it, so it had a ton more volume also, and it was just really, really fabulous. I did want to answer too, there was a really great question in the comments after my last video about the bridesmaid's dress and if I was planning to make it nursing friendly. I did not for this dress. I had contemplated whether or not I wanted to, you know, mess around and try and make it nursing friendly or choose a pattern that would be more nursing friendly. And ultimately I decided not to, because it is an occasion wear dress. I think it's not one that I'm going to be tossing on frequently. And for the wedding in particular, because I was in the wedding, I wasn't actually with the baby the whole time. I nursed while we were getting ready. I nursed while we were getting ready. I pumped while we were getting ready as well. But my cousin, I had someone come with me to the wedding, and she stayed at, you know, like in a room with the baby. So I could go in and see him. I could go in and feed him, you know, help out with diaper changes or if he got extra fussy. But ultimately she took care of him the whole day, and I didn't need to worry about making the actual dress nursing friendly because I was in a room where I could just like remove the dress if I needed to do anything. So that's, hopefully that answers the question. And then I pumped in between. It's probably more information than you needed, but just to answer, no, this isn't nursing friendly. And because I'm not going to wear it that frequently, I didn't feel like I needed to make it nursing friendly, because by the next time I wear it, I probably won't be nursing. But if I am, same thing applies. I'll probably just go off to a different space. Crystal from My Social Thread is like my go-to person. I love her vlogs. When she was pregnant with her most recent baby, she had tons of content about how she was adapting her patterns, either taking patterns that she already loved and making them nursing friendly, or, you know, finding patterns that are naturally nursing friendly. So I definitely recommend her channel, and I will link to her down below, and you can just look through her different videos and find what might be helpful for you if you are trying to make something and make it more nursing friendly. But she's definitely an inspiration for those sorts of makes, but that is not nursing friendly. I hope that answers the question. The day was gorgeous. The venue was beautiful. It did drizzle. It rained. And I remember the week leading up to it, it was like glorious sunshine, amazing things. And we're like setting up and doing all the prep work and just looking at our phones at the weather app, like, why is it intending to rain just like that weekend? So it did rain, but my best friend and her husband were just such amazing sports about it. And again, just there's so much love that was poured into that wedding. The people that were there, all of the like encouraging words and just like can-do attitude, and having people who are there for you and willing to like sit with a little bit of drizzle. It added to the mood and the ambiance actually. So it was gorgeous. I did not sweat in this dress because the temperatures were cool. It was nice. And we danced the night away. Like, we had a good old time. Yeah, it was exceptional and so gorgeous. They took a dip in the pool at the end. They're so much fun. So it was one of the funnest weddings that I think I've ever attended. So I'm really, really excited. Yeah, that we got her married. And yeah, we just love him. anyways, it was fabulous. So the wedding is, you know, behind us now, and it's really nice that I've sort of crossed off everything in the marriage category of my first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby. In the baby carriage, make 9 plans this year. So tick, tick, tick. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about from the wedding is that Deneen actually made all of us these gorgeous robes to wear while we were getting ready on the day of the wedding, and she had so many gorgeous other gifts for us. The thing that I want to point out that I think we might appreciate together is she like loosely based this off of some pattern that she's found online with some dimensions and then sort of took it from there. But this panel right here, she double lined it, which I hadn't considered before. Instead of like using a facing or something else like that or a binding, she just cut out the front piece twice. So you might be able to see how sheer this fabric typically is. And then this section, how it's a bit less sheer. Can you see that? If I like hold it out, you see me through the bottom part, but not as much through the top. Hopefully you can see that. But yeah, she doubled it. And I think it just was a really nice clean finish. So here's the front seam here. It's doubled. And it just was such a clean finish at the front. And if I'm working with a really sheer, lightweight fabric to make like a duster or an abaya in the future, I might try something like that. So I really enjoyed that. The flower backdrop that we had been working on, I had picked up a new skill. Me and my friends, we learned how to make paper flowers, and that was a really nice focal point at the wedding too, so you would have seen some photos there. I did get to wear some me-mades throughout the wedding weekend since it was May. I wore an adapted S9114 dress to the rehearsal dinner. I wore my bridesmaid's dress on the day of the wedding, and then on the following day when we had a nice little brunch, I wore S1069 pants that I made out of a floral linen that I got from Mood Fabrics, and I wore this top. And the top that I'm wearing today is a vintage Butterick 6422. I can pull it up for you so you can see what that looks like. So it is this pattern here. I have it in my stash already, but it's this pattern here. It's really, really nice, oversized and roomy, and I tucked that into the S1069 pants. And this is the top, really, really roomy. As you can see here, it's fitting me and baby boy. I'm just wearing him today because I tried to put him down before I was recording and he was not having it. So he's just gonna be cuddled up here with me today, right? Yeah, he likes this a lot. So, yeah, so this top is doing wonders. I've worn it maybe every other day because I just wear it tossed over other things, roll up the sleeves, really nice and casual. It is just so easy. It's white. It also has this really gorgeous like hibiscus embroidery on it, so it's not super plain. It feels like it's a bit more interesting, and it's just so cool to wear. So I absolutely need to revisit this pattern and make more of these because I've been wearing it so frequently. This week was Teachers Appreciation Week, and to all the educators out there, thank you for all that you do. It is a big job and a big role, and we entrust you with our little ones, and it's a lot that comes with the territory. So thank you to all of the educators out there. And I had a big mommy moment where I was sitting down and I was like, I gotta make something for my son's teacher. She's been amazing this year. My son is on the spectrum, and it's been nice to have, as he's transitioning into like public school and a bigger school setting, lots of kids. Her attention must be divided all over the place. It's kindergarten, like I can't even imagine. And then to be as responsive and as thoughtful and intentional with my son, I've been really, really pleased because we were a little bit worried and just nervous and apprehensive about what that transition for him would look like. But he's been doing great. So I knew a little bit about her because they had given us like my teacher's favorite thing sort of sheet, and it turns out she loves to cook. So at the last minute on like Wednesday or Thursday, I was like, before Friday, I am making an apron. So I did. I got out some Ankara fabrics from my stash. Her favorite colors were pink, purple, and teal. So I picked out these two fabrics and I made her a gorgeous reversible apron with a multi-system pocket. So I'll insert some photos for you so you can kind of take a look and see what that looked like. I went off of a blog post that I found that gave me some general measurements about like the length, where to put the little scoop. I had to figure out on my own like the neck binding. And then I remembered you have tons of aprons for like painting. Just take one of those out and then like figure out where, you know, to place the pocket and, you know, how long you should make the straps and things like that. But I think it turned out beautifully. For the pockets, I did something that I think is quite interesting. I cut out two, you know, rectangles, and then I made like a tri-system pocket. So I was like, if you want to hold like a pen, but then you want to hold like your phone, and then if you want to hold, I don't know, the recipe, utensils. I don't know what people are putting in their pockets while they're in the kitchen in their aprons. I don't know. But I was like, let's just make it multifunctional because we can. And then I stuffed it with a bunch of her favorite treats, and that was the teacher's appreciation gift. So I was really, really excited about that. We gave it to her yesterday, which was Friday. And yeah, I was like, good that you didn't just take a backseat and like, well, I guess the time has passed. So I was really excited that it gave me that motivation, especially since there was the time crunch of like, I wanted to get it to her before the end of the week to get it done. And we did. So that led me back into my sewing room, getting into the groove, because I don't really feel like I've been down here other than to tidy up this room since the wedding, because I left it in a disaster zone. Insert photo. I think I did take a photo of what it looked like before I started really deep cleaning. It was a monstrosity. Lots of things everywhere. So I was really happy to have it tidied up and, you know, in a good, workable space. So that was good. What I'm currently working on right now. This fabric, it's another Ankara African wax print fabric in this gorgeous pattern. If you've been here for some time, you might recognize this fabric. I'll give you a beat. Tell me where you've seen this fabric before. Do you remember what I made? Okay. Last June for Father's Day, I made my older brother and his daughter a matching like set. I made him a men's dress shirt, like a short sleeve shirt, and I made his daughter like a little dress with shorts out of this fabric. And I had a little bit left over. I think maybe not a little bit. I think like maybe just under 3 yards, because I had a 6-yard panel. I think I used up maybe at least half of it. So I had a bit left. Ankara fabric is narrow in width, okay? So you're talking, it's about 45 inches wide. So it's not a lot, but I think I had maybe 2.5 yards left. And I wanted to make his wife, I wanted to make my sister-in-law a skirt so that they could be a matchy-matchy family. And I finally got around to it because this Sunday here in the States, tomorrow, is Mother's Day. And I was like, you know what you should do? Make her a skirt so that she can have it and do like a nice family photo with her folks. Now today is Saturday. You are seeing a pocket and you know that this skirt is not made up. That is all correct. So we'll see if I get it done for her to wear it tomorrow. But even if not, she will have it and they can take photos together and that'll be nice. And it'll like complete this, all the yardage of this fabric. Like I am down to, these were the only scraps remaining. I was unsure about which pattern I was going to make for her for the skirt, but I ultimately settled on this because I had already cut it out. This is very easy, very Vogue 9014. Here's the skirt, view A. I've never made this before, but I'd cut out the pants out of this pattern last year. It's here in this bag, out of this fabric actually. we'll talk more about that. But it's here in this bag. These are the pants that I was meaning to make. And I already had it out. And I kind of like the pleating detail. I like the little slit. It does not have pockets. I want to add pockets for her. Then I began to, or try to attempt to cut this out. It requires so much fabric. So much fabric. Even at a 60-inch width, which I don't have. So what I'm kind of doing is loosey-goosey. I'm like using it as an inspiration. I'm going to roughly try and map out where they put their pleats. I'm going to reduce the amount of pleats, like the depth of the pleats in my version. Because with the amount of fullness, if I was using like a viscose, something really fluid and drapey, perfect. On Cara fabric, that much volume, it wouldn't flow and swish in the same way, and I think it would be too much anyways. So I'm sort of like downsizing what they want and trying to like make sure that the ratios and the proportions of everything are correct though. So that's what I'm doing. It's kind of going to be loosely based off of this Very Easy, Very Vogue 9014 skirt right there, view A. So that's what's currently on my cutting, on like my work table right now. Plans as we move into next week or as we continue on. My cousin saw this abaya and dress combo that she really likes. It has a similar sleeve detailing, sort of like what I did on my bridesmaid's dress, where you sort of have this fluted section at the bottom. Theirs didn't have shirring. I think it was just like sewn into an arm band or like cuff thing, and then had the flouncy bit at the bottom. But we might do shirring for ours. I haven't really decided yet. For the actual abaya, we're going to use Simplicity 1108 view D. View C here at the bottom, the longer length. She has already starched and cut out the pattern pieces for the front and back. We held off on cutting out the sleeves just because I'm still trying to figure out how we might want to do that. But that's going to be the next thing that we're working on, mainly because she wants to wear it next Friday, this upcoming Friday, to one of our cousins' weddings. So we're going to see if we can get that done. She picked out this fabric from my collection, and I really, really love it. I've loved it for a long time. But she's been eyeing it up. I remember when we were trying to make a dress for her for homecoming, she had sort of looked at this fabric and I was like, that's earmarked for something. And then now when she wanted this other dress and I said, go into the stash and find something, she came out with it again. And I was like, Famata, just let her have it. Like, you keep talking about using this fabric, but you haven't used it. So just let her have it. So we're going to use this for her. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous blue color and the drapiest of fabrics. Now you might be thinking to yourself, that doesn't look so drapey. And I will tell you why. We use this linen starch. It's a liquid starch. So when Deneen was trying to make our bridesmaids like cover up things, the robes, she had gotten a powder starch and then this liquid starch. And she hadn't used this. We used the powdered starch for the robes, but she had this left over. So I was like, can I have that? When I tell you, we used 1 part of the liquid starch, 2 parts water, and it makes things crisp. Like, this is the floatiest rayon fabric you've ever seen. And I know it doesn't look like it because it's been starched to oblivion, but let me show you its friends. All right, just so you can see the difference this thing makes. Can I get a single small piece? Is there a small piece in there? Okay, so here's the waistband from it in its original state. Do you see the difference here? Do you see that? The fluid drape of this versus this. Do you see that standing on its own? It's amazing. So anyways, this starch is the truth. And the reason why I was like, we're going to use the liquid starch was mainly because for the amount of yardage that we needed for the abaya, for the dress and all of that, I was not going to use all of my spray starch on that. And just the idea of like having to spray it, wait, and then iron it is too much. So we dunked all of the fabric in there, laid it out outside to air dry for a bit. and it was so crisp and gorgeous. So while I already had the starch mixed up, I just went ahead and grabbed like some swatches of other fabrics that I've been meaning to use, but kind of afraid to work with, mainly because of how drapey they are and how awful I knew it would be to cut the things out. And I just wanted to see like, what can the starch do? And when I tell you this thing is working, it's working. This is a rayon knit fabric. And even with a knit fabric, this took the longest to dry, the knit one. But even with this, it's like so much crisper, right? So much crisper. So I find that like I don't like working with rayon jerseys because they're so slinky. But this is good to know that I can still starch this. This is a fabric that I've had in my stash for some time. Okay. This is a fabric that I've had in my stash for some time. Here it is in its original state. Let me see if I can get a single layer. And I love it for its fluidity, for all of that. And I am scared of it for the same reasons. But look at that. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. Look how crisp that is. Like I can lay this out now and be not so terrified to cut it because of how that worked. This is a polyester fabric. This is actual silk. So I picked this up 2 years ago maybe. Look at what it did to the actual silk. So good. It's so good. So I am really excited to have this in my arsenal. And as soon as this bottle finishes, I'm ordering another bottle of it because we're entering into, you know, summer. And that's when I want all of the fluid drape, all of the viscosity, you know, lightweight fabrics. And they're the ones that I really despise having to cut out. But if I can have it behave like a cotton and take out that fussiness, I'm all game. I'm game for that. I'm so excited. So that was really nice because it gave me the opportunity to test out this starch. And now I'm excited about future projects that I'll get to work on. But on the docket is this abaya, and then we'll sort of work out the underdress. I might just use one of the dresses that she has that she's thinking of. And we'll try and draft a pattern from that because I was looking in my pattern collection and I couldn't find something that really fit the bill of what she wanted. She wants something really simple, but I'll see what we end up with. Now that the fabric is kind of firm, maybe we could do something a bit more interesting if she wants. All right, so that's that. So the next thing that I have down in the sewing room is my Zimmermann inspired skirt. So this is that multi-tiered gathered skirt that you all would have seen me make last year in preparation for a girls trip back in September or so, or early October, I think, early October. Elasticated back. This is all self-drafted. I was actually doing all of these gathers and layers for a Zimmermann inspired dress. I have an entire video about that dress and my plans and goals and hopes and dreams for it. I will link it. But I have a lot of layers that are here, and I turned it into a skirt last year because I just wanted to be able to wear. I needed a boost that let me know that all of my hard work was not for nothing, and that there was an end in sight, okay? But now I'm ready to tackle the actual dress, which was always the goal. So I brought this down because what I need to do first is go ahead and unpick this waistband and unpick the button placket, take all of this off, free my buttons back. I have these thrifted buttons that are stars of all different colors that just went so well with all of the various colors in this skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that because what I need to do now is add rickrack to each of these layers, 2 rows of rickrack to all of these. I had purchased a ton of rickrack last year for this project, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I have to add, I think, the last 2 layers. I think there are 2 layers that remain. So this orange color, which I have the rest of the fabric here, as well as this sort of seafoam green color is going to be the top and the button placket. So I'm really, really excited. I also have more of the pink and this blue because for the sleeve, I'm going to continue the lines there. And I think the sleeve will at least be the top 4 colors. So the seafoam, the orange, the pink, and then the blue at the bottom, I think, will be encompassed there. I have not decided if I'm going to use a pattern for that top bodice section, but I do need to sort that out and just figure out what it is that I want to do. I will have more information about this because it's so much to get into. This has been a labor of love, a really big project for me, and I've talked about it in several vlogs in the past. But I was vlogging the making of this, the skirt portion, and hope to share that process with you so that I can do like a full-on wrap-up of the dress once that is also done. So those are things that I brought down. I'm trying to keep it easy and just take it one project at a time. I'm so inspired by like different things that I want to make all summer long, especially because while I'm on maternity leave and I'm not going into the office, I'm nursing a lot. I'm running around with the kiddos. I don't need the same wardrobe that I wear when I go into the office every single day. Now, I still haven't done my full like closet swap out of bringing out all of my wearable things for this summer. But even as I look at it, I'm like, oh, there aren't that many, which is probably why I've been re-wearing this top so much. But dresses that have a button front placket are really, really helpful. A lot of my knit dresses are not nursing friendly, so I have not been wearing those. So figuring out how to incorporate a few more knit dresses and making them nursing friendly, that would be really nice. And then more button up things or zip front things would be nice as well. Even if they're zip up only to the waistline and then have like a skirt added to the bottom, even that has been helpful. I have a ready to wear dress like that just zips up to the waistline and then has like a tiered gathered skirt. I have reworn that multiple times when I have to run out and go and pick up my son from school, those sorts of things. So that's been wonderful, like absolutely great. And I want to make more of them. So we shall see. I am now trying to put my focus to the top of my Make 9 board, which is the love category, where I picked out 3 fabrics that I love. One of them is this gorgeous like lacy tablecloth that I thrifted years ago, and I'm trying to figure out what that can be, where I can use up as much of it as possible and how I should line it. So that has, more thinking that needs to be done there. But there is the Mood Fabrics fabric, which isn't in here right now. But if I can, I'll insert a photo of what that looks like. And I think I'm ready to make something with that, especially since it's a rayon, I believe. I'm going to see if I can starch it, if that makes me a little bit more, ready to use it. That could work as well. So those are the things that I'm working on right now. I hope you've enjoyed my little catch up. Me Made May has been like hit or miss. I didn't really do an active pledge. I said I was going to think about it, but I didn't really like state a pledge. I have not been posting on Instagram. I think I did that one community post on here last week during the wedding weekend. But yeah, things have been like, I rewear a lot of things. I'm just at home lounging around and nursing a lot. So I just need things that are easy on and off, or easy button down or zip up, that sort of thing. So it has made me think, like, without work, what's my go-to? And I think it is still dresses, but just trying to figure out like, what do I like wearing when I'm just at home? And the reality is, even if it's loungewear, like I haven't had a day where I didn't have something to wear. I have like ready to wear things that I've already owned that fit that gap. So I don't really need those things to be me made, because I already have things that fill them until they like wear out, or I don't like them anymore, or they don't fit, but they still do. So I'm just wearing those. So I haven't had an urge to like stop, drop, and sew a bunch of loungewear, because then I feel like when I go back to work, then I'll just have a bunch of loungewear piling up that I don't access as much. I have a ton of like at home dresses and things that like my dad always gifts us, like those sorts of things when he comes back from going back home in Guinea. So I have a ton of like what to wear at home sorts of things. I just need them to be like nursing friendly for this stage. And I'm also, when I'm thinking about nursing friendly hacks that I want to do, considering the fact that like the window of time where I'll be nursing in my lifetime is so limited, you know, in the span of things. Like if I had this dress for 6 years or more, the amount of time that I would need it to be nursing friendly is probably going to be a very short period of that time. So I don't want to make something overly like nursing friendly where it's obvious that's the reason why I made it that way, that then when I'm no longer nursing, it's not as wearable for me. Does that make sense? Like I just want to make sure that it's something that even after I'm done nursing, it's something that I could still wear. Right? So I've been, you know, pondering how do I make those sorts of adjustments to clothes, and that's why the button front things or something that zips up is just a function of how to get in and out of the garment, which is also nursing friendly. So that is very appealing to me, but any of the other very like specifically for nursing sorts of hacks, I'm a little bit more like, what's the you know, payoff for that? Like how much am I willing to invest in making all of those alterations? So I'm still giving those things some thought, but first things first, we're going to do the abaya. We're going to work on the Zimmermann inspired piece. I'm going to try and get this skirt done for my sister-in-law, and I will catch up with you at some point in the future to let you know how those things went. If you have not already thought about liquid starch, and it doesn't have to be this brand, like this just happened to be what she had. But listen, if you are working with rayons and viscoses and all the floaty things, and it's giving you a headache, look at how crisp this is. Do yourself a favor and cut yourself some slack and get some, you know, some starch. I did do test swatches also because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to like ruin my fabric, which is why I wanted to test out that silk, because this is 100% silk and I feel like it's fine. So I will rinse it out and actually see what it did to it and iron it, but there's no like obvious blotches of like stains or anything like that because you fully submerged the whole piece of fabric. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I will update you if anything happens that I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. All right, the little one is trying to free himself. So I think we're going to call it a day now. But you all have a lovely, lovely day. And I hope to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you think about the dress. I do have vlogs that are meant to come out for like all of these makes. And I just need a moment to gather all the footage and put it together. So that's what we will be doing. All right. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay creative and happy Mother's Day. Bye.